Did you know for this movie, Tim Burton said that this movie would only be made if Michael Keaton would return to reprise his role as Beetlejuice. Keaton said in March of 2014 that this is the only sequel he's interested in doing. So I had a pretty fun time last night seeing Beetlejuice Beetlejuice with an amazing friend of mine, Hannah. She's actually a huge fan of Beetlejuice, way more than I am. I have some good things to say about this movie, and of course I have some bad things to say about this movie, but I'll save the bad things for the end. The first thing I liked about this movie is it really relied a lot on nostalgia. From the opening shots to the iconic house to we're getting stop motion animation again with the sandworms. We got a lot of old characters coming back. Just the whole atmosphere that was being recreated again for the sequel, which I never expected us to get a sequel to Beetlejuice. Just because, Michael Keaton just turned 73 a couple days ago. Dude is not young anymore. All these guys are a lot older. The fact that we get a sequel 40 some years later is actually pretty crazy. Of course, we got Danny Elfman back as the composer, so that's how we get a lot of the nostalgia, just hits you with the music. The strongest part of this movie was Michael Keaton. He actually had a lot more screen time this time around than he did in the first movie. In the first Beetlejuice movie, he only had like 15 minutes of screen time, which I found that to be pretty crazy considering the movie is named after him. But he had a lot more than 15 minutes of screen time in this movie, so I'm really glad that he really got to get more of the spotlight. And of course, he had so many funny lines. I know a lot of the lines in the movie were improvised. Tim Burton just gives him free reign, and he just says really funny things. And it's just amazing to see him come back as Beetlejuice. He looks great, honestly. He looks great. The makeup looks great. Like, it was just awesome. Like, it's just one of those things where, if you love movies like this, if you are a fan of Michael Keaton, which I am, and you see him reprise an iconic role like this, it's just one of those things that just makes you smile big. And I also liked we got a little bit of backstory into Beetlejuice this time around. We didn't really know a whole lot about him in the first movie. Of course, we knew who he was and why people didn't want him, didn't want him around. He was bad news, but we never actually found out how he died. And this movie actually, he talks about it, and it brings up the fact that he had a wife played by Monica Bellucci, which she was awesome. We get a little more depth, we get a little more Beetlejuice history, which just adds more intrigue, adds more enjoyment to the overall movie. And then the characters, we got a lot of the old characters come back. I do want to talk about the characters that didn't show up. They didn't bring Jeffrey Jones back for a pretty good reason, and that is because he's a creep, he's a pedophile, so I completely understand them wanting to distance themselves from that. I was a little disappointed that they didn't bring back Adam and Barbara Maitland. I think it would have been kind of cool to just have a little scene with them in there, but they're going in different directions for this movie, so I guess I understand that. And the controversy surrounding Alec Baldwin maybe was a smart decision on Warner Brothers' part. And then of course we didn't get to see Otho because unfortunately Glenn Shaddix, the actor who portrayed him, passed away a few years ago. That's the reason why we didn't see those characters, but they brought everybody else back. I mean, like I said, this movie hints really strong on nostalgia, and the characters coming back was a huge part of that. But then we got additional characters, Jenna Ortega as Lydia's daughter, pretty cool. I mean, Jenna's a very talented actress. Then we got to have just these fun characters in there. Willem Dafoe got to play an actor who thinks he's a cop. We got a little cameo by Danny DeVito, which was awesome, and then Monica Bellucci playing Beetlejuice's wife. She did a great job. She just has a great presence on screen. She's barely aged. I mean, she looked great. But it was just great having just a collision of worlds. We got the OGs over here, and we got some new blood coming in here, and combining them and just making it for a really fun time. Just having all these different interactions take place. So the things I didn't like about this movie, I would say the weakest part of this movie was the story. I wasn't really interested in the story. The story didn't really seem to have a lot of depth to it. Didn't seem to have really a lot going for it. It seemed a bit contrived. Well, we already know about all the stuff surrounding the afterlife and all that. So it was kind of just following different characters on their journey now of trying to get away from all the trauma. Lydia was the main focus, getting away from all the trauma. Jenna Ortega's character, Astrid, dealing with the fact that her mom's super crazy and she's trying to keep living after the death of her father. I mean, there are some tiny heartfelt moments here and there, but like I said, I felt like the story did not have anything interesting to offer. It just felt like they were kind of just piecing stuff here and there to keep the audience interested until Beetlejuice finally came on the scene and then just saved everything. Michael Keaton really saved the story a lot because once you put him in the formula, then we got some crazy stuff going on. But if you take him out and you have all these little side characters and stuff, the story was not as good as I was hoping it to be. I liked most of the characters in this movie. The one character that annoyed the heck out of me was Lydia's boyfriend or whatever he was, Rory. I know a lot of people were excited to see Justin Theroux in this movie. I'm not familiar with his work at all. I honestly thought his character was really, really stupid. Maybe he was meant to be portrayed as like a stupid, annoying character, but honestly, we didn't need his character. I think had no point of even being in there other than he was a big name for some people, and they were just putting some big names in here to make people see the movie, because, you know, some sequels are hit and miss. And so if you put big names in there, like, you know, Justin Theroux and Willem Dafoe, people are more interested in seeing it because they want to see big names like that. But Justin Theroux's character was crap. I'm just going to be straightforward about it. I did not like his character at all. That being said, if you love the first Beetlejuice movie, you're going to love this movie as well. So I highly recommend check out this movie as soon as you can. So for Beetlejuice, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 Mudflaps. And remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. What is your favorite movie about the afterlife? See you next time.